Hello, everyone. Good day. So, this moment, we are going to discuss about a, relational operators. Okay. So to start with, we are going to create a program. Let's say to create a class. Let's say we have relational operators. Operators. Yeah. So actually, relational operators are actually used for creating an expression, and it's very important for you to understand this. It's because um, without understanding them, actually you are not able to understand well decisions or decision structures or selection structures. So yeah, so it's basically the knowledge and concepts that you will get from out of here is actually the one step closer uh, to actually learn if else and if conditions or selection structures in Java. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to discuss to you what are the relational operators in Java. So basically, it comes from mathematically, it's actually based on that. No, so I mean the operators that the Java has been using is actually the same with the operators that are actually in mathematics. So we have the relational operators. So we have number one. We have the okay. Let's see. Okay, so number one is, let's start with less than. Okay, here. Yeah, let's say for an instance, we have less than, we have greater than, we also have less than or equal, we have greater than or equal, then we have equal. So that is not the same with the equal assignment operator, and then we have not equal. So obviously, if I know in during our elementary days, you have you have been you were actually being you actually learned this one. I mean, this were actually introduced to you. I'm pretty much sure of that. And then this one right here is if you are able to read these operators and you are able to evaluate the operators the way you did in mathematics, so there's no you will have an easy understanding uh, of how you will do it here in Java. In fact, again, this is the the basis for creating decisions in Java programming or in if structure in Java. So to start with, let's say for an instance you have two. Okay, you have two less than three. So if you have two less than three, the result for this one in mathematically is of course true. Okay, so this expression would either display or either evaluate either true or false only. So see, this one is let's like is two less than three. It's like asking question, is two less than three? So yes, if it's yes, then the result for this one is true. Otherwise, it is false. So again, less than, it's like for some other, I have been experiencing, I have been observing. So in my different, I have been in two different classes now of different types of students, and even in college they are not able to understand what is less than and what is greater than, or this comparison operators. And the thing is that they don't know how to actually read less than, what's less than. So sometimes they are actually confused with this symbol. So for them it's like greater than, or I don't know what seems to be the problem, but based on what I have experienced, it's like they don't know what this symbol all about. So I mean, sometimes they will be interchanging it, or they might interchange it to greater than. So again, what I did during my class is that using your hand, if you are going to use your hand, you mura ganig sa Bisaya pa or in layman's term. Kung gamiton na imong kamot, manghinawak ka going to the left, that is less than, less than. So left, it's like left, left. Okay, you are using your hand, right? Your arm rather. So yan, less, left than, and then sa right is right, greater than. So that's actually the secret, no? Especially for those who don't really, I mean, who have difficulty in understanding this. So basically, uh, but that's what I did in my class. Okay, so this is the best training for you to get along with if this or decisions. Okay, so obviously if you have something like 4 less than let's say 3, it's 4 less than 3, obviously you will have it here something like it's the result for this one is of course it's false. Okay, so okay, then another example in greater than, let's say for an instance we have um, let's just interchange 3 and 2, or 3 is greater than 2, so that's this one is actually true. And then let's have 3 is greater than 4, and then you have it right here, false, because 3 is less than 4, it's not greater than 4. So also they are, some of the students are actually having difficulty in understanding this symbol less than or equal. Sometimes when you give them like is 2 less than or equal to 3, so they will find it really difficult to read. So the idea there is either or, meaning uh, less than, see, is 2 less than 3? Yes, it is not, but there's an or there. It means that, I mean, it's 2 is not equal to 3 rather. So 2 is not equal to 3. However, is 2 less than 3. So sometimes they are confused about or less than or. So it is, yeah, it's not, 2 is not less than 3. 2 is not equal to 3, but it's actually it's equal to 3. It's less than to 3 rather. So therefore it is still true. Okay? So either or, okay? Either it is less than or equal to 3. So probably when you have something like this is where they started to, or they started to, get confusion when you have something like 3 is less than or equal to 3, because let's go back to here. Sometimes when I have this in them, like I give them like this, 3 is less than 3, they might read this as true, but actually it's actually I mean actually it's false. So for some they actually read it as true, but this is actually false. But here, uh, right here, you have here 3 less than or equal to 3. 3 is not less than or less, not less than to 3, but it's actually equal to 3. Therefore this is true. Now as the expression is evaluated to true, and that is the similar or the same that applies to greater than. So like you have here 3 is greater than or equal to 3, it is, yes, it is true. And then if you have something like 4 is so 3 is greater than or equal to 4, this is like of course false. Okay, so obviously you have here equal sign, so it's going to be something like 3, so meaning you get to compare, not you are not assigning 3 as 3, but you make a comparison between 3 and 3 if they are actually equal. So probably this is of course 3, and then if you have something like this, of course this is so easy, this is like false. So similarly, that's the same thing in not equal. So 3 is not equal to 3, 3, and then this is, so is, since 3 is equal to 3, therefore this is like false. And then if you have something like 3 is not or equal to 2, this would give you actually true. All right. So that's where this is the, I mean, this, if you understand this very well, you are able to easily adapt the, or probably there's a big chance, there's a big probability that you are able to create a good logic using good logic in creating decisions or if conditions in Java. So to test it out, we, so it's, if you are going to use, like, let's say for an instance, 2 <tsk> 3, you have that one, sorry, you have 2 <tsk> 3 based on the above, based on the above expression. So this is the expression 2 <tsk> 3. It is expected that the value, okay, the value that is being returned to that is actually true, then we are correct. Okay, so similarly, if you are able to actually read, if you're able to read that, the way, I mean, the way how comparison operators are being read in mathematics, it's actually the same in programming. So let's say you have here 4 <tsk> 3. Okay, so you have 4 <tsk> 3. Now it becomes false. So this is okay. You can actually try this one out, or whatever I have used here, I mean, stated here or written here. You can actually try this one out right below here. Okay, so obviously that's where our that's where we base our conditions. Like for an instance, normally we, when we get to have a values, so let's say for an instance, you ask for the user to have num1. So let's say you have num1 is assume that the num1 is entered by the user, let's say 10, and then you want to evaluate, whether num1 is less than or equal to 10. So basically, it is the compiler is going to read this one as the value of num1, which is 10, is it is being compared to less than or equal to 10. So obviously, this we will it yields actually it actually yields true, because though 10 is not equal to 10, but 10 is actually equals to 10, which is the num1 value. So that's basically the idea there. Say you have a condition, let's say saying that if num1 is less than or equal to 10, so you can do something like you can now read this one as, so since based on what we have right here, the value of num1 is 10, and then we have num1 less than or equal to 10, and the display, the answer, the display is actually true when it is evaluated. So therefore, similarly, this would give us true. So if our expression in the condition that we are actually trying to do in our program, if, as long as, when it is true, every time it is true, it will be, anything that you put right here will be always executed, this block right here. So we have here, let's say, num1, you can say something like num1 is less than 3, is less than or equal, less than or equal to 10. So I have mali ang keyboard. Sorry for that. So we have there. So you can now create conditions like that. So basically, again, you try to practice. If you find it really difficult, you try to practice this one, and then try to use as output statement to display something, if what's the result, if the user enters this one, true or false, and then after that you can now use that one in several conditions, and if you're trying to create conditions in your program. So let's now go back to let's erase this one. Okay, so we have, let's say, okay, another thing is, let's say for an instance, we have now um, let's say I mean, a compound expressions or multiple expressions. No, so it's no longer one expression only. So you have, let's say, for an instance, let's say 3. Let's say we are going to negate later on. Let's say, for an instance, we have 3 is equal to 3. That means 3 is compared to 3 if it's equal or not. So basically, this would give us a true value. However, if you are trying to like negate this the value using not, so that one here, right here, is actually not 3 is less than or equal to 3. The result is, so this is how it happens. Basically, 3 is equal to 3 is true because that's actually the result once we run this one, and then you do something not. So not meaning you negate it to not. So this time, in our next discussion, I'm going to discuss to you uh, logical operators. But for this time, let's have some example of relational operators. Let's say you have 3. Say we have int num1, num2 is equal to 9, and then you have here equals to -9. So if you are going to compare that one, num1 is greater than greater than to num2. So basically, the value of num1 is -9, and you get to compare it to our to +9. Obviously, the -9 is actually is smaller than 9. Therefore, is -9 greater than 9? This would give us a false output. So let's try that one out. So we have here false. So basically, that's relational operators. Just if you still have difficulty in understanding them, please practice. Try. There's no harm in trying. You try to actually explore more based on what I have done here. I display it in system that out that printout kasi normally when the teacher introduces the if condition, they like they just introduce the relational operator, and then they don't actually apply that one, or at least run the a certain statement where there is an application that uses these relational operators on how our compiler really reads it. Okay, so true or false, which is if you are able to establish that knowledge to our students, they they are able to easily understand the if condition because they have now an idea. They have now the idea on how to read actually relational operators, and in if we are going to write programs in write programs using if conditions or if selection structures, and we use relay this we normally use relational operators to compare both the to compare expressions. So I guess they might understand it as that easy. And also with regards to actually you can also, that's the same thing, you can actually the same thing you can actually see in looping statements. So this relational operators. Now for today, that would be all, and thank you guys for listening and watching this video. Have a great day. See you guys soon.